Marvel Comics and Wolverine fans and Greg Capullo fans were very disappointed to find out he, in fact, was not going to be illustrating the ongoing X-Men from the Ashes Wolverine solo series, which is going to be written by Saldin Ahmed, and I think Martin Kokolo is on the art on that one. But we knew he was going to be doing something because certainly he had released a teaser image that ended up being a cover, but he had released a lot of other stuff associated with Wolverine. He was going to be doing a Wolverine project, and now the mystery project is unveiled with what I think is one of the more unlikely writers to team up with Greg Capullo in a long time. Greg Capullo is essentially a legend in the comic book industry at this point, got his big break on Spawn, certainly the most acclaim that he ever received during his run on Batman with Scott Snyder. He did Dark Knight's Metal, an enormously successful event. He did Dark Knight's Death Metal, not quite as successful, but still certainly successful. But Capullo has also done lots of work for Marvel in the past, but it's been a long, long time, and he's not coming back for an ongoing, unfortunately, but he is going to be doing a Wolverine miniseries with Jonathan Hickman. That is the big surprise here. All the way back in January, Capullo tweeted a peek at a mystery Marvel project that didn't have any particularly identifying details in it, except as perceptive fans immediately noticed that it appeared to be titled Wolverine. The conclusion was clear. Capullo was returning to Marvel to draw a Wolverine series. The mystery thickened this month when Marvel announced a new Wolverine ongoing from writer Saldin Ahmed, with no Capullo to be seen. We now know the actual Wolverine series Capullo is working on, Wolverine Revenge, with Krakoan-era architect Jonathan Hickman penning the story. And as much as I would love to see Greg Capullo on an ongoing Wolverine series, yes, please, thank you very much, I don't want to see Greg Capullo on an ongoing Saldin Ahmed Wolverine story. So I do think this is the better outcome. Working with Jonathan Hickman, a known commodity when it comes to writing, somebody that can actually spin a yarn, is absolutely fantastic news. Wolverine Revenge looks like a lot of fun. The teaser art so far has looked really good, and we will get into that a little bit. But I cannot stress enough just how awesome it is to have Hickman on this project. We just got the Doom #1 one-shot from Hickman and Sanford Green. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the best Marvel comic book story released probably since House of X Powers of 10. It's probably the best single issue Marvel comic that's been released since Spectacular Spider-Man #310. It's probably the best single encompassing issue of a comic book from Marvel or DC since like Man and Superman from Marv Wolfman. Doom #1 is fucking undeniable. If you have not read that book, if you have not seen what Jonathan Hickman and Sanford Green were able to do there, you are missing out on something spectacular, especially if you like the Doom character himself, because that thing was badass and has definitely got the hairs on the back of my neck standing up at the possibility of Jonathan Hickman working with an artist as badass and amazing as Greg Capullo on a character as sublime as Wolverine himself. This just screams out as must read. This is the project Marvel fans have been waiting for. This is the project Capullo fans have been waiting for. It's not going to be in continuity, likely. It is a mini series. I would prefer it to be more tied into things and maybe elevate some of the other things going on in Marvel. But right now, you got to pick and choose your battles there. And this is something that goes down as must read from day one. Wolverine Revenge, although they are using one of their stupid new gimmicks, apparently the red band polybag thing was successful, and they are not going to let this one go until they burn it into the ground. Wolverine Revenge #1 will also be published in a red band edition containing some pages not included in the regular edition with elevated violence you won't see anywhere else. According to Marvel's new release, the red band version of the issue will be polybagged for the protection of innocent eyes. Both versions of the issue will hit the shelves on August 21st with a main cover by Capullo. And as excited as I am for Wolverine Revenge, and I imagine it is going to be brutal and it's going to be very, intense and violent and all that kind of stuff, I'm not on board for the red band mature audiences only interior variant version of the comic book. They're obviously doing this with Blood Hunt. And I don't know, I guess retailers didn't order enough because, collectors, they got to have one of everything that's new. And according to Drew, I didn't see this myself, but on eBay, they were going upwards of like $400 after the first week of release. So in Marvel's mind, that's a huge success, even though their paying customers are getting fleeced out of $400 because they created something that was completely unnecessary to once again further inflict damage on their wall and stuff like this. And just like the idea of fucking interior variants is just stupid. And only Marvel Comics and David Gabriel could come up with such a stupid, just disgusting concept. But they are going to be running with this. They already announced their second comic. I think it's a one-shot that's also going to be polybagged. And anytime you get a character that could have any blood or gore associated with it, they're going to spice it up and show you stuff that didn't even happen in the real comic book. Here's the big spoilers if you didn't know. When you get to the end of Blood Hunt #1, Blade is standing behind Doctor Strange, and he's clearly about to attack him. Something bad's about to happen. He might have a sword sticking through his stomach. If you get the red band polybag version, he literally gets ripped in half by Blade. Guess what happens when you go to Doctor Strange for the Blood Hunt tie-in? He's not ripped in half. He just has a sword in his stomach. They literally made you pay for something that never even happened. That's so, whatever. If you want to go out there and spend $400 on eBay for a polybagged, mature audiences only red band thing, go for it. I say you do you, and you collect the way that you want to collect. And if you think that's really exciting stuff. But me personally, I think Marvel needs to concentrate on way more quality and way fewer gimmicks that they can use to actually gouge customers into buying the same comic book over and over and over. Used to be variant covers, now we're on variant interiors. But that is really the only thing about this that doesn't sound good to me. In 5 issues, Wolverine Revenge promises to pit Wolverine against a cadre of foes who will turn his world upside down. According to Marvel's official summary, he's been beaten, he's been bloodied, and Logan only has one thought in his mind: revenge. Preview pages from the first issue show Logan hunting alongside the zebra people of the Savage Land and battling a dinosaur. And earlier, I was waxing poetic about Doom #1 from Jonathan Hickman and Sanford Green, and just the idea that there's dinosaurs in here and Wolverine's going to be fighting dinosaurs. I don't think it's going to hit the artistic and critical highs of a Doom #1, but it should be must-read nonetheless, and Wolverine fighting dinosaurs, quite frankly, sounds fine to me. Wolverine fighting alongside the zebra people is a great idea, and it sounds like a whole lot of fun. We have seen some other preview images from Greg Capullo that have included more like Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos, Dum Dum Dugan, and some of those characters like that. And I imagine that this is going to be in here, unless that's another project Capullo's working on. But I don't imagine Capullo would be working on interiors for 2 different projects at the same time. I don't think he wants to do ongoing books anymore. I think he likes a slower schedule, and that's why he's doing a mini-series. And we'll likely never see Greg Capullo on 12 consecutive issues of anything ever again, because I don't think he wants to do it. So there's a pretty damn good chance we're going to see Nick Fury and the Howling Commandos alongside Wolverine fighting some villains out there. I don't know if they're going to be new villains or old villains, but I can tell you this, just looking at the preview images, Greg Capullo is the fucking truth when it comes to Wolverine. He has a great aesthetic for the character. He knows how Wolverine should look. He looks very feral. He looks animalistic. He looks very intimidating, and he looks like old school Wolverine. Hopefully Jonathan Hickman doesn't include too much of that shitty dad ring stuff that's really destroyed the character over the years. But this is absolutely exciting stuff, and it's great to see Greg Capullo working on something besides variant covers again. I think the last time I remember seeing him might have been, well, I certainly saw him doing some interiors for Spawn 300, and then I think Dark Knight's Death Metal might have been after that. He's had to have done some interiors after that, but I don't remember what they were. It's been a while since we've seen Greg Capullo. And speaking of which, he did have some words to say about what he's doing in Wolverine Revenge. I finally returned home to Marvel, and I'm ready to raise some hell. And who better to do that with than the Hitman Hickman? To celebrate, Marvel has removed the fences and let us off our leash so that we can bring the most vicious and punishing Wolverine story possible to the fans this summer. I hope they're prepared. Well, I hope that Greg Capullo isn't over-promising and under-delivering here, because we were promised the bloodiest, most violent, the most heinous Wolverine story in the history of the world from Ben Percy with Sabretooth War, and it kind of started out pretty gory and violent, and it hasn't been that for like 5 issues now, 6 issues, something like that, and it's been an enormous letdown. But Ben Percy, as good as he is, and I do like Ben Percy, even if I have been disappointed with the ending of Sabretooth War, and I do think his Wolverine run is hit and miss, and X-Force certainly is hit and miss. He does actually hit, so I think Ben Percy is talented. He's not Jonathan Hickman. And while I really do enjoy the artists that they put on Sabretooth War, they are not Greg Capullo. So hopefully this is the one that actually delivers all that wonderful feral Wolverine violence in large amounts of doses with that Greg Capullo flavor all over the page for Marvel Comics fans. And this is something that I imagine will be a pretty darn big success. Do I think it'll be Ultimate Spider-Man success? No, I do not. I don't think it'll be quite up there. It's not in continuity. It is a miniseries. Even though it does have, an all-star creative team to it, I think it'll be very successful. But I don't think it'll be hitting the top of the charts. But it'll certainly be like a top 5, top 10 selling type of comic book through the life of it, only the 5 issues that we are getting. And this will likely be a tremendous success out the gate for Tom Brevoort for X-Men from the Ashes, and he'll likely get to take the credit for this because he is the X-Men group editor, or will be by the time this comes out. And if this was his brainchild, if this was his plan, which I don't believe it was, good on you, more stuff like this. If it wasn't your plan, Tom Brevoort, pay attention to this and deliver more stuff like this, because this is what people actually want. They don't want exceptional X-Men. Nobody wants NYX. We don't want this bastardized version of X-Force. We want badass Wolverine with really good creators, a great writer, a great artist. I wouldn't have ever thought Hickman and Capullo would work on a project together. They just don't seem like they would mix as creators. And hopefully they're able to work together like peanut butter and jelly and just deliver something badass, because I have very, very high expectations for this particular project. If you would like more coverage of the comic book industry, we do have lots more going on over on Patreon, whether it be Marvel, DC, or any comic books themselves. If you would like to back me and what we're doing here on Thinking Critical YouTube, you go to the Patreon, you back us there, and we give you lots of great coverage of the comic book industry, specifically reviews, conversations, all that kind of stuff in the form of podcast. If you haven't checked that out, there's a link in the video description.